Mark and Jenna had built nearly 10 years of life together in Portland, their world revolving around their 7-year-old son, Liam. Mark, a hardworking contractor, spent long hours on job sites, proud of the home and stability he provided. Jenna thrived in her marketing career, juggling presentations, deadlines, and motherhood with practiced grace. To everyone who saw them, their marriage appeared solid, perhaps a little tired from the daily grind of work and parenting, but steady nonetheless. That illusion shattered one evening. Mark came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet, except for the low murmur of voices coming from the living room. When he stepped inside, he froze. Jenna sat on the couch with her coworker, Chris. The closeness between them erased any doubt about what was really happening. Jenna jumped up, stumbling through an explanation that Chris was just a colleague stopping by to discuss work. But her tone carried panic, not confidence. Later that night, when Mark scrolled through her phone and read the messages, the truth landed with brutal clarity. She had been having an affair. The betrayal hit harder than any physical blow. His chest felt hollow as he told her to pack her things and leave. Jenna cried, begging him to listen, saying it was a mistake, a lapse of judgment born from feeling ignored. But Mark couldn't look past it. She had brought another man into the house where their son slept. His voice was steady when he told her she had to go. Jenna left that night, moving in with a friend. In the weeks that followed, her calls and texts came constantly, apologies, desperate pleas for another chance. But Mark stopped answering. He poured all his energy into keeping life normal for Liam: school mornings, soccer practice, bedtime stories. Behind the calm routine, anger and sadness churned inside him like a storm. Determined to protect his dignity and his son's stability, he contacted a lawyer and filed for divorce. As the months passed, a quiet rhythm returned. Mornings became simple, evenings revolved around homework and dinner. But whenever his mind wandered, flashes of that night returned. The look in Chris's eyes, the guilt in Jenna's face. Each memory reopened a wound that never fully healed. Meanwhile, Jenna started therapy. She cut off all contact with Chris and tried to show remorse through her actions. Her messages became less frantic, more focused on Liam's needs than her own guilt. Their communication turned strictly practical: pickup times, school events, doctor's appointments. Every exchange was polite but cold. Late at night, after Liam was asleep, Mark would replay their marriage in his mind. He wondered if his long work hours had left Jenna lonely, if he'd missed signs of her unhappiness. But every time he tried to sympathize, the image of her betrayal crushed any compassion. No matter how neglected she'd felt, she had chosen deceit. Then one rainy evening came an unexpected knock. Mark opened the door to find Chris standing there, soaked, disheveled, and looking broken. Rage surged through him instantly. Before Mark could speak, Chris blurted out that Jenna had ended things. He said he regretted everything, that he had meant to destroy a family, that he'd truly fallen for her. Mark's jaw tightened. Without saying a word, he slammed the door in his face. The encounter left him trembling. It tore open every raw edge of pain he'd tried to bury. He didn't tell Jenna. It didn't matter anymore. Instead, he used that moment as fuel to move on. When the divorce papers were finalized, Jenna didn't contest a single term: custody, property, finances. Her silence felt like penance. Their lives split cleanly in two. Mark's days became a steady rhythm of work, school drop-offs, and soccer games. Liam's laughter became his anchor. Jenna continued therapy, determined to rebuild herself and earn, if not forgiveness, at least Mark's respect. Eventually, they began attending joint counseling, not to rekindle their marriage, but to learn how to co-parent without bitterness. Painful truths surfaced there. Jenna admitted she had felt invisible, while Mark acknowledged that his devotion to work had left her isolated. Understanding grew between them, but forgiveness did not. They set clear boundaries: complete honesty, no mention of the past, full focus on Liam's well-being. Over time, those boundaries created something functional between them: a cautious peace. Jenna showed up consistently, never missing Liam's games or school events. She gave Mark space and proved her reliability. Slowly, his raw anger began to fade. Months later, at Liam's school play, they sat on opposite sides of the auditorium. When their son stepped onto the stage, both smiled and clapped. For the first time in a long while, Mark felt something close to calm. Their marriage was gone, the trust shattered beyond repair, but life was quietly rebuilding itself around what remained, their son. Mark found healing in small things, coaching Liam's soccer team, fixing up the apartment, rediscovering hobbies he'd abandoned years ago. Jenna changed too, focusing on self-growth and her career. Chris was now nothing more than a bitter memory, but his uninvited visit had been a turning point. It had shown Mark that he could either stay trapped in bitterness or reclaim his peace. He chose the latter. At Liam's next birthday, Mark and Jenna stood apart again, smiling politely across the table as their son blew out his candles. The moment was bittersweet. Scars lingered, but so did their shared devotion to Liam. Mark no longer loved Jenna, but he no longer hated her either. What remained was quiet strength, steady and unshakable. From the ruins of Betrayal, he had built something new, a life defined not by what he lost, but by what he still had. The laughter of his boy, the calm of ordinary days, and the peace of knowing he had survived the storm.